So true to my word, here it is. In the background and maybe the foreground, you hear the processional sound of the Harvard group known as the Down with Sandwiches, Up with Shrewsbury's International. And they've stopped the processional. It's the bird with the trash man, and it's played at all kinds of different speeds and flown at all kinds of territories. And that bird is the only one that escaped a couple of hunks of bread sliced diagonally around here. It's beautiful to see. There are a lot of different entries here already for the Shrewsbury contest. In one of the rooms, they have the Shrewsbury's numbered as far as the entries are concerned. This looks like a grape Shrewsbury, cut diagonally, of course, on white bread. And I don't know, this looks like cheese in there, and some other concoctions, maybe a little egg and lettuce. That's number 10. Number 9 is on round bread, and it looks like we've got a little confectionery on top of it, and there are oranges and a couple of sliced apples, I guess. Or is that onion? I don't know. But it's kind of interesting. Oh, apples, oranges, and cream cheese. Very good, they're labeled. Number 8, entry number 8 has a bite out of it. It's also on round bread. And it's peanut butter, cherries, olives, and potato sticks. And the potato sticks are set up between the two hunks of bread. So there's like piles on a dock, and they're through the olives and the cherries. It's a very wild scene. And number 6 are 2 pieces of French bread, 2 small French loaves, and they have cutouts on the top. And the title is Roast Eel Salad, Male and Female. They have a couple of olives in there for eyes. And I noticed the female has just a little bit of a smear of lipstick. It's beautiful, really. And over here is a black dot Shrewsbury, entered, I think, by the Black Knight. I'm not sure. But it's a furry little thing. It's rather black and has a couple of eyes, and it's looking out on what looks like a couple of collar stays, perhaps, for fangs, and on white bread, and it's just sitting watching the proceedings. And probably the pièce de résistance or something is entry number 12, which is about 12 feet long, or is what it looks like. Not really. It's about a yard, though, I would say. And it's, I think, French bread. We just had another entry put up next to it. But in there, first of all, the title on it is The Original Shrewsbury International as Eaten First by Charles Talbot, the Duke of Shrewsbury, on December 14th, 1663, exactly 300 years ago today. And its ingredients are French bread, Danish ham, Italian provolone cheese, Spanish onions, American lettuce, American tomatoes, Portuguese anchovies and capers, Jewish salami, Dutch Gouda cheese, is that right? Yeah. All right. That's a new one on me. English mustard, and international oils and seasonings, which is to make it go, I think. Yeah. To be eaten, as did the Duke, with German Lohenbrau, yeah, which is other lubrication. Shrewsbury number 13. I don't know who's going to eat this one. I know one guy who isn't. A couple of pink and blue sponges, bath sponges, skewered with what looks like the axle part out of a door hinge, and the ingredients are a couple of Brillo pads. I don't know if there's any lubrication in there with international oils or seasonings or not. Number 11 is on white bread, meatloaf and cheese and tomato, which may not seem too phantasmagorical at this point, but it looks rather edible, which is a distinct advantage here in the Shrewsbury International. Everybody's remarkably quiet. I think nobody wants to own up to these. When is the judging going to start? As you might imagine, anybody who can start an international division of Down with Sandwiches, Up with Shrewsbury's has to have a little imagination. And I'm standing here looking at this. What exactly is this?
Well, why don't you explain it?
It's called a twetter. It's a double sweating knicker.
I should explain that a little bit. I think, in fact, maybe quite a bit. There are 2 people standing in front of me, one male and one female, and they are involved in a, looks like about 3/4 of a sweater each. And it's knit, and it's red and black stripes. It's either black with red stripes or red with black stripes. Which is it, incidentally?
Well, I don't know.
It matters little.
Blue stripes.
It's big at Halloween parties anyway, one or another. And it has 2 sleeves and 1 aperture in the middle, which is very, very interesting. And this was your idea. What's your name?
Beth Richardson.
Beth, and your name?
Steve Nelson.
Very good. And you say that you started this? Did you knit this for him or what?
No, I knit an original one for my brother, which is, then we patented it and sold it to DuPont, and the original has since been stolen from a knitting mill, and the FBI is after it and everything, but they can't get it back.
The FBI is looking for a twetter?
Oh, yeah. And they have out a $500 reward, no questions asked, it'll be returned, but it's gone.
Can you imagine a 6'7", 500-pound FBI man coming in and saying, "Have you seen a twetter?" That sounds very good. Think of all the better things through better living with DuPont, like twetters. We're standing looking at the coat of arms of the Duke of Shrewsbury. Who did this?
This was drawn by our artist that we commissioned for the occasion, Miss Marion Hobbs.
She's here, too.
She did the portraits of the Duke of Shrewsbury and the Earl of Sandwich, and also the coat of arms.
And they're very nice portraits, incidentally. The kind of thing that you might find in a slightly shrunken and weazened dollar bill. The Earl of Sandwich. Looking properly notorious, I might add. And the Duke of Shrewsbury reminds one of perhaps a younger Alexander Hamilton with a sort of a Liberace flair. Very nice. Very nice. Would you care to describe the coat of arms for us?
Yeah. Well, those 2 things on either side are dogs.
They're Talbots.
They're Talbots.
The family name of the Duke of Shrewsbury was Charles Talbot, and the Talbot was a hunting dog, which is what the supporters for the shield are on the coat of arms.
All right.
I don't know anything else about it. If everything has significance and symbolism, you better explain it.
I think that's a good way to start out, though. When you don't really know what you're doing, you just start out and go, and you make something. That's how the Duke started, incidentally. He didn't really know what he was doing. It was after a rather lengthy party.
Well, we don't know what we're doing, really, either, and this is before a rather lengthy party. The coat of arms is a lion rampant on a field of ghoul, which is what they called red in those days for some reason. And this is the ducal coronet, which was, I think I should point out, is at least 1 rank above the earldom in the order of nobility, which is significant to the Duke of Shrewsbury and the Earl of Sandwich. This was also the ducal helmet, which, again, is 1 rank higher than the Earl. A lion statement on top of the ducal cap. Why they had a cap, I'm not quite sure.
Looks just a little bit like a forerunner, perhaps, of a beanie cap, in a way, with a propeller on it.
Very likely. Forerunner of the cap out.
The cap out, very good.
Then the motto down at the bottom is "Pred accomplir," which is the Duke's personal motto, and that in English is "prepared to accomplish," which the Duke of Shrewsbury was always.
That's very good. We should adopt that and make copies of it and spread it from coast to coast with a spreader.
Shrewsbury,
right. This is the beginning of the secret ceremonies of the Down with Sandwiches, Up with Shrewsbury's campaign here in otherwise staid Cambridge. A hush descends on the gathered group. I've just kicked a young lady out of a chair, which...
This is against the bottom chair.
All right.
After all, you are the beginning of this.
Thank you very kindly. Oh, boy. There are about maybe 20 people here. 19 people and 1 twetter. And it's very pretty girls, too, incidentally. Which is not incidental at all. I think it's very important to the success of any movement. They're beautiful women. And they are in abundance, which is good. The ceremonies are about to start.
Down with Sandwiches, up with Shrewsbury International, first chapter. We feel that we're on our way. This is the beginning of a big thing. And to start the festivities, while I'm out narrowing down the entries of Shrewsbury's in our contest to the 5 most eligible ones, which will be tasted by our guest of honor, we'll have the opening remarks by a co-founder of this organization, Mr. Michael Hobbs. I'm sure you'll be stirred by them, and I hope you will applaud them vigorously. Hear, hear.
I perhaps might depart from my prepared text at some time during the remarks, but I hope you'll bear with me. It is my very real pleasure and my solemn privilege to welcome you to the installation ceremonies of the Down with Sandwiches, Up with Shrewsbury International. I need not labor the point that this world of ours, imperfect as are all human creations, this world of ours is beset by the manifestations of greed and dishonesty. But each of us, in his own small way, each of us in his own sphere of influence, however small that may be, may dedicate himself to the search for truth, the quest for honesty, and the promotion of justice in dealings with his fellow man. And this is precisely what we are engaged in here tonight. Some 200 years ago, Charles Talbot, the first Duke of Shrewsbury, invented the party treat, which is now the subject of the most horrendous misnomer of our time. The Duke of Shrewsbury has become the victim of the foulest crime imaginable against the decent respect for the opinions of mankind. For that delicacy, conceived without thought for personal profit or prestige, the product of the fortuitous coincidence of Shrewsbury's creative genius and his selfless spirit of dedication to the commonweal, was pirated. By claiming the invention as his own, the Earl of Sandwich embarked on a conscious, dedicated effort to destroy the name of Shrewsbury, to steal the product of another man's mind and soul, and turn it to his own nefarious purposes of commercial exploitation. The evil Earl of Sandwich has left our generation a heritage of deceit, a precedent of perfidy, and I regret to say that there are those even today in a nation which professes to place the product of men's labors high in its scale of values, which commends itself on giving credit where credit is due. There are those even today who would prolong the effect of this most dastardly and arrogant of treacheries. But we of the Shrewsbury International shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in the countryside, we shall fight on the highways and byways, we shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the cities. We shall defend the name of Shrewsbury, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight in the restaurants, we shall fight in the cafeterias, we shall fight in the drive-ins and the delicatessens, we shall fight in the all-night diners. We shall never surrender. The world will little note nor long remember what we did, but it must never forget what our namesake has done. It is for us of the present generation, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who have fought before us have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us. That from our honored predecessors we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that our spiritual forebears shall not have fought in vain, that this nation shall have a new birth of justice, and that the name of Shrewsbury shall not perish from the earth. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as we are given to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, and to that task let us pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Thank you very much.
The inaugural speech is given by Mr. Hobbs, the co-founder of the Down with Sandwiches, Up with Shrewsbury's International.
He's like our true founder, Mr. Summer, to lead the group please in this, and we'll have the band strike up over there in just a moment. And if you'll stand and...
I'll do that.
And lead this anthem again, because I think that's important that we get this down, because when we meet each other on the street, I think that's the first thing we want to break into. And then we'll probably break into a cold sweat, but that's later. No, all right, so strike it up.
Sit down and sing together. Don't forget to put your right hand on the radio speaker. I'll put my right hand on the control console here. And we'll sing the cast word together. If you agree. One hand
to the streets, walking geese. For them recorded 5 from the book. 6 bear bound versus Caesar. 7,000 Macedonians in full battle array. 8 brass monkeys from the ancient sacred crypts of Egypt. 9 apathetic, sympathetic, diabetic old men on roller skates with a marked propensity to procrastination and content. Lyrical, spherical, diabolical denizens of the deep who walk all around the corner of the globe, the sway of the queasy at the very same time.
I now have my battle strategy. Down the sandwiches up at Shrewsbury. Together, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Down the sandwiches up at Shrewsbury. We have one thing that isn't on the schedule here. This is something that has arisen just recently. I don't know if you've followed our instructions and listened to Mr. Summers' show. I take it that all of you are regular listeners anyway. But regardless of that, you may have noticed that in addition to his Shrewsbury movement, he has also come up with a new movement, advancing the welfare of grapes. And in reaction to another disc jockey's work on that station who is pushing elephants, and that's, if you were trying to push an elephant, you'll know what it is. We think that there is a organization you've already started, isn't that right?
Yes, it's the Great AIDS Society. Is
known as gas. What kind of gas will
It's most important that we do not welch on this organization.
And some of you may also have heard the joke which sort of started this whole thing, which actually I think occurred on the same night that you made the fluff, the same night that this whole thing evolved. And so it seems like that it's just proper that we have this ceremony here. Before I go on, the 2 portraits that you see up here, the true likenesses of the 2 individuals with whom we are concerned in history, were done by Miss Marion Hobbs, Michael's sister, there she is, student at Jackson College, and she's very artistic. And in fact, we commissioned her to do the work here, and she did some other work for us. And we have beg your pardon? Oh yes, the joke that I don't like to say it, but some of you have heard it. The question, of course, is what is purple and puts out forest fires? And you know the answer. It's Smokey the Grape. You say, well, it's awful. It really is. But the point is that this has started something, and there is a lot of debate about Smokey the Grape and grapes in general over at the station, as I understand, as I've heard over the radio. So we feel that she has done this portrait, which we are going to present to you, and on the understanding that you are to keep it only if you put it up in the studio, to remind others of your high office and position what is really important in this world.
Right.
And so if you will agree to do this, otherwise she would like it for her room because it is a masterpiece. And here's the unveiling. There it is. We want especially Mr. Bruce Bradley to see this because I think this shows that a beautiful grape, there's nothing better than a beautiful grape. Certainly it's much better than any elephant you could possibly stumble upon. And,
I'm glad you said that because I would be accused of nefarious things like, partiality and things.
Oh, no, we're with you with all the way, and we feel that this is the beginning of something again new. And all of you keep Smokey the Grape in your mind when you're thinking of whatever you think about.
Marion Hobbs, we sure appreciate that. It's about a 1.5 foot high purple grape with a smoky cap on top and a spade, of course. Is that a purple top on the spade? Is it black top? I'm a little bit colorblind, which many of the grapes don't appreciate because, well, but that's life. And Marion, thank you.
And now we'll move into the finals of the Shrewsbury contest. First of all, we'll put the... You wondered why this was like this. This is actually the apron for the chief judge. Someone will hold the chief judge's microphone head here. And with a coat of arms. I mean, that's appropriate. It's appropriate. And,
It's the first time a coat of arms has been worn directly over the stomach.
we'll take them in order, and he's going to take them, and then I think, if possible, he'll rank them. They're pretty ranked. And we'll take them, and then after he takes them, he'll order them.
There's only one thing that can be done about this, and I hate to do it, but we're going to have to award a black dot. Would you care to put out your thumbnail here? All right, there's a black dot. I don't know if you understand a black dot? Well, the way it works is kind of simple, as is most of the show. You simply are asked to find somebody you hate, which shouldn't take, too long for most people, unless you sublimate it perfectly. So what you do is find somebody you hate, and then award them a black dot. Now, the first time you do this, nothing much is going to happen, because you'll just stop reach this spot, just pull out a black dot, and say, well, it's black dot, throw it up. But this goes on for like a week, and every time he reaches his pocket, there's the same black dot watching him. This will cause difficulties, you'll be surprised. Think about it. It also works very well if you might have the job dispensing stamps in a post office. You might put a little black dot on a licking part of the stamp, so when he goes, you look in the mirror and find this large black dot on his tongue, which will cost him at least $10 at the doctor, and they're walking in. Where'd I get this black dot on my tongue? And you can imagine the following conversation. It should be rather interesting.
All right, fine. So now you just step up and take these in order.
All right.
And these Shrewsburys.
Sandwich number, who will take the microphone? Black dot. Black dot. You got a pen? Who's got a pen? All right, right on the thumbnail. Go ahead.
No, you can't taste them.
Thank you very much. You must admit that that's rather a vicious-looking little thing.
This is number one.
Shrewsbury number one. May I ask what's in it, or is that not?
Well,
all right, let me taste it first and see if I can decide what's in it. I take the little. I think the toothpick is out.
That's fine.
It's not part of the Shrewsbury.
No.
This is on white bread, I assume. All right. It's dark inside, anyway.
Brown spotted white bread.
You got a glass of water here, so you're gonna need something.
There's peanut butter in it. And is that a grape? That was number one.
Number two. You will notice the grapes in this. This is to keep we might merge our two movements if we feel that
the grapes, yeah.
Thank
you very much.
The previous Shrewsbury.
Are you not supposed to? You're not supposed to eat this when you taste these things. You're not supposed to eat them, are you? Or is that just wine?
Oh no, you can eat them. It's your personal privilege. This is all right. It is. This is number two.
This is number two.
Number two.
It's also on white bread.
Oh no, he's keeping this all in his mind. Pretty.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely grapes in there with other concoctions.
Number koi concoction.
This is one I was afraid you were going to pick on.
Number three. You don't think so.
This is the eel meat sandwich. I did it again. We'll make a copy of it like that. Now you'll admit that being stared in the face with an eel Shrewsbury is enough to make anybody flip, right? All right.
To go too far into that, Give my hand to that. That's very good.
As long as the hand isn't in here, we're all right.
Like Charles de Gaulle, this man has a lot of gall.
And it's all divided in 3 parts. What number was that? That was number 6.
Number 6. And we're looking for 4.
No, that's 4. I've got it.
Okay. I need something to wash down the eel.
Yes, do you have a fire extinguisher there, Mike? This is another Shrewsbury concoction. Looks like there's some cheese and other things in there. No. But it is good.
And there's number 5. It's this big one here.
No, I'm slug of water.
This is the one that claims to be the replica of the, or maybe it may be the original.
We'll see how
200 years ago.
We'll see how stale the bread is, and I'll let you know. We'll do a... Oh, boy. There we go. There's a lot of onion in that one. Spanish onion. You can tell because they taste like castanets. We read. Thank you.
Now, can you come to a judgment?
Boy, I think before I come to a judgment, I better have another swig of water.
Pick the worst first, and then we'll work down to the rear worst.
Well, I think, first of all, that we should commend the effort on behalf of all of you. It was very ingeniously done. I wouldn't want to pick the worst because they were all pretty bad.
2 and number 1.
All right. I would say...
Should we read the rules on which this is...
Yes, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Read the rules, because that might clarify the situation a bit.
Entries will be judged on originality, compatibility of ingredients, internal cohesion, that may be in there too, visual appeal, and palatability. Domain or plagiarism will result in automatic disqualification. All Shrewsbury should, of course, be cut diagonally. Well, should we read the next sentence?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
It is presumed that primary responsibility for preparation of the Shrewsbury will devolve on the female of the couple, be she wife or sweetheart, whichever you plan to bring to the ceremony.
We'll not take a poll.
Number 2.
Well, I'll tell you, this one is almost disqualified because it didn't cut diagonally. But how does one cut a 3.5-foot-long roll diagonally? There's a distinct problem on that, so I think that possibly just for the time being we might eliminate that rule if you don't mind. Because I would call that number 2 right there, the big long one, the original Shrewsbury International.
All right, we stop and present the number
second prize in the first International Shrewsbury contest.
This is Mr. and Mrs. Linas, I believe, and who's coming forth to accept the prize?
Mrs. Linas. Wife or sweetheart?
This is Mrs. Linas.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Does she always cook this kind of thing for you?
Oh, she's a wonder. She always does.
I notice her standing. All right. The prize is a box of wax paper bags for Shrewsbury's. On behalf of the Down with Sandwiches, Up with Shrewsbury.
This will fit 3 feet.
I think enough of it. I'll tell you what you do. You go and blow them up.
I'll give this to my husband. He's the one that made the sandwich.
One of the winners.
Her husband's usually in the bag anyway.
I think this party has gone pretty far. Thank you very much.
Drum roll or something. All right.
I think that we will have to admit that the top award would be the one that would involve the grape there, wherever that is. Please, the boss is listening.
Number 2, and this is our artist, Miss Hobbs.
Miss Hobbs. I think that's only appropriate. Miss Hobbs. The top winner. Okay, that was the Harvard party, the party that was held over at Harvard University by the first Shrewsbury International on our Nightlight Night. Number 4.